These are the adventures of a party going through the grim world of perilous adventure. Chapter 5. After a night of eating and drinking, the adventurers wake up and meet at the table in the inn where they stayed. Having a hearty breakfast, and a small drink to ease off the hangover, they get ready to go to the Merchants' Guild to meet with Maya for their next task. They reach the guild, and upon entering the head merchant's office, he greets them warmly. "Good morning, my friends. I hope you had a good rest."
"Yes, thank you."
The ranger replies.
"How can we assist you further?"
Maya smiles and says, "Straight to business, I see. I respect that." The head merchant sits in his chair, pulling it closer to the table. "I have spoken to the authorities about the grimoire and the organization," he says, "and there are some things we have to tend to before taking any further actions. Unfortunately, we cannot use you in these matters, so in the meantime, I have another task for you, if you are willing. There is a caravan of merchants that is long overdue to arrive in Marienburg. I fear that they may have been ambushed by bandits or something worse. I would like you to investigate and see if you can find any trace of them. They were carrying valuable goods, so I am willing to offer a handsome reward for their safe return. I would also provide you with horses for your travel. Will you accept this task?" The ranger looks at their companions and they both nod in agreement.
"Yes, we accept it."
Lethelian says.
"Where was the caravan last seen?"
Herman Meyer smiles in appreciation and says, "Excellent, I knew I could count on you." The caravan was coming from Altdorf, but that was a week ago. He puts the map of the area on the table and they gather around. "Our courier has seen him at this location," he points on the map. "But we don't have any more recent information, so you'll need to investigate further once you get there." He hands them a small pouch of gold coins in advance and continues. "Be careful though. There have been rumors of bandit activity in the area. Keep a low profile and don't draw too much attention to yourselves. Be safe, and may Sigmar guide your way." After gathering the needed supplies, the adventurers saddle up horses from the guild stables that Herman gave them, and set out for a long road to the location where the caravan was last seen. After a couple of days of travel, the group starts to near the location on the map. It is a wide, open area surrounded by dense forest. The area is quiet, and there is no sign of any caravan. At one moment, Lethelian spots several tracks in the dirt leading away from the road and into the forest. Upon closer inspection, the tracks appear to be from heavy wagons and booted feet. The group starts following the tracks into the forest, looking ahead to see if they will spot anything. They can hear the sounds of wildlife and the rustling of leaves in the wind. It is a peaceful scene, but also somewhat eerie given the nature of their assignment. They travel for a while, cautiously keeping an eye out for any signs of danger, until they start to see things scattered around in the distance. They dismount and tie their horses to the trees, readying their weapons for potential danger. Cautiously approaching, they come across a small encampment in a clearing with a dozen bodies lying around. The tents look cut and torn, and there are signs of a recent struggle: 4 overturned torn wagons, broken crates, and scattered goods. The group carefully approaches the encampment, trying not to draw attention to themselves, and they notice some movement near one of the tents. As the group approaches the small tent, they hear a faint rustling sound. It seems like something is moving inside. They cautiously make their way towards the tent, and suddenly, a figure bursts out from the entrance, sprinting towards the tree line. It's a woman, dressed in simple white and brown tattered clothes. She stumbles and falls to the ground, gasping for breath, turning to the adventurers. She looks up at him, her eyes red and puffy from crying. "Please, She barely says, "Don't hurt me." Lethelian puts out his hand.
Calm down, friend. We mean you no harm. We came to help. Tell us, what happened here?
I don't know, she stammers, her voice barely above a whisper. We were traveling with the caravan, and we set the camp here for the night. Then they came out of nowhere. Bandits, I think. They killed everyone. Except for me. I managed to hide. She begins to sob uncontrollably, her body shaking with each heaving breath. Oh gods, what am I going to do? I have nothing left. No family, no money. Nothing. Lethelian kneels beside her and says,
What is your name?
The woman hesitates for a moment before answering, My name is Ira. Thank you for coming to help, but I fear it is too late for most of us. She gestures to the carnage around the group. We were attacked by bandits in the night. They killed everyone and took everything of value, including the cargo we were carrying. She pauses for a moment before continuing, I went for myself and heard the noise upon returning. I laid in the tall grass and they didn't find me. I've been hiding here ever since, hoping that someone would come.
Are you hurt?
The ranger asks. The woman shakes her head and says, No. They didn't harm me, I just have a fever. But they took everything of value and left us for dead. She looks around at the wreckage of the caravan and lets out a sigh. We were on our way to Marienburg. We had carried valuable goods, and it seems the bandits were after them. Then she covered her face with hands and cried. My family. Lethelian asks her,
Do you have any idea in which direction your attackers left?
Ira takes a deep breath and composes herself. I'm sorry, I don't. I was unconscious for a while, and when I woke up, I was too disoriented to notice anything. Lethelian nods understandingly.
That's all right. Let's get you to safety first, and we'll figure out our next steps from there.
They help Ira to her feet, and they give her food and water and agree to take her to the nearest village to safety. Once Ira is settled and being looked after, they return to the site where the caravan was attacked and start looking for clues. The adventurers come across several sets of tracks. Most of them are those of the caravan, but there are also tracks of the attackers, leading away from the site. After carefully examining the tracks, Lethelian determines that the attackers headed northward, towards the nearby mountains. He points out the tracks to the rest of the group and suggests they follow them. The mountains loom ahead of them, shrouded in mist, and the path grows steeper with each step. Eventually, the adventurers come across a narrow pass that winds its way up the mountain. The tracks are no longer visible, but the group decides it is the only way the bandits could take, and move on. They proceed with caution, watching for any signs of danger. The dusk starts to settle as they reach the top of the pass. After a few more minutes they start hearing faint growling speech and an occasional yell around the rocks. They dismount and leave their horses and slowly approach to investigate. As the ranger looks behind a rock, he sees a large group of hobgoblins camped near a cliff. They are man-sized creatures, with nail-like teeth and dark green skin. They wear tattered leather armor and carry crude weapons like axes and clubs. The scene is illuminated by the orange glow of the fire, casting long shadows across the rugged landscape. The creatures are roasting some kind of large cuts of meat on spits, and the smell of cooking flesh fills the air. The caravan they stole is parked nearby with 2 horses tied to the back of it. Lethelian turns to Grundnir and Amelia and says,
There are 17 of them. I suggest we wait for them to fall asleep and then attack them. Amelia, what spells can you cast that can be used in combat?
Amelia responds to Lethelian.
I can cast fireball and light spells. With Fireball, I can create a burst of fire that can hit a group of enemies, and light can illuminate the area to help us see in the dark or disrupt the enemy vision.
Lethelian asks her.
Does that fireball explode?
Amelia nods and explains.
Yes, it creates a burst of flame that spreads in a small radius around the point of impact. It's a powerful spell, but we need to be careful not to hit our own allies with it.
Lethelian thinks and says,
Good. When I tell you, you'll cast it there.
As he points on a particular spot.
Is that all right?
Amelia nods in agreement.
I will cast it there when you give me the signal.
The adventurers wait hidden behind the rocks for a few hours until all of the hobgoblins are asleep except one who stays up guarding the camp. The ranger whispers,
Amelia, get ready,
and takes good aim at the sentry. The arrow flies wide and the hobgoblin doesn't even notice the near miss. He draws another arrow. This time, Lethelian aims his bow with more precision, takes a deep breath, and lets the arrow fly. The arrow soars through the air and strikes the sentry hobgoblin right in the skull. The creature collapses to the ground, dead. Lethelian turns to the group and whispers,
1 down, 16 to go.
He draws another arrow aiming at another one who is sleeping closest to them. The ranger releases an arrow hitting the creature straight in the chest. The hobgoblin jolts sitting up, grasping at the arrow in shock before collapsing back down, hitting the shield beside him. The other hobgoblins begin to wake and stir in confusion, unsure of what's happening. Some of them grab their weapons, while others look around groggily, still trying to shake off the sleep and drunkenness.
Amelia, now!
The ranger yells to Amelia. She begins to chant as the air around her begins to shimmer, and a ball of flame appears in her hand. She hurls the ball of fire towards the group of hobgoblins, aiming where the ranger told her. The fireball lands on the ground and explodes with a deafening roar, sending flames and debris flying in all directions. Several hobgoblins are thrown off their feet and knocked backwards, 5 of them tumbling off the edge of the cliff and falling to their deaths. Others who were further managed to keep their footing but are badly singed by the blast. The 2 horses, frightened by the blast, tear their reins and run off up the mountains. As the smoke clears, the rest of the hobgoblins draw their weapons roaring, and prepare for the fight to come. Grundnir, taking advantage of the surprise caused by the explosion, charges towards the camp with his axe drawn. He throws himself at one unprepared creature, knocking it off the cliff to its death. Then the dwarf turns to attack another one. He successfully strikes the enemy, who staggers from the blow but remains on its feet. The ranger shoots another arrow at the new target. He looses the arrow at the creature standing near the edge of the cliff. The arrow strikes true, and the enemy falls backward, tumbling off the cliff, joining the others in their deadly descent. Meanwhile, Amelia readies another spell, looking for an opportunity to use it. She concentrates and focuses her telekinetic spell on a nearby rock, lifting it off the ground and hurling it towards the hobgoblin engaged in combat with Grundnir. The rock strikes the hobgoblin's head, causing it to stumble and momentarily lose focus on its opponent. Grundnir seizes the moment and swings his axe. He badly slashes the creature over the chest and it turns to face Grundnir, snarling in anger. Lethelian aims his bow at another hobgoblin, and he releases the string. The arrow flies through the air and hits the hobgoblin in the shoulder, causing it to stumble back a few steps. The hobgoblin looks up at the ranger, snarls, and charges forward with its club raised. The ranger waits for the attack, and in one move pulls out his sword, deflecting the attack, and slashes the enemy on its side. It falls to its knees with a scream, clutching the wound that bleeds uncontrollably. The remaining hobgoblins, seeing their own fall one by one, start to retreat, running towards the mountains. The one enemy who was fighting Grundnir also turns running, but the dwarf takes the opportunity and throws the axe in its back, killing it instantly. Lethelian tries to shoot one of the hobgoblins running past Amelia, but misses the shot, hitting the wagon instead. Amelia, seeing the creatures retreating between her and the wagon, picks up a rock from the ground, throwing it vigorously at the last one. The rock smashes against the jaw, causing the creature to stumble and fall to the ground. She quickly runs toward it, frantically pulling out her blade, and stabs the enemy through the ribs. The remaining hobgoblins continue to flee to the mountains, and it seems like the battle has come to an end. There is a tense moment of silence as the adventurers catch their breath and assess the situation. The ground is littered with the bodies of the fallen hobgoblins, and the air is thick with the smell of blood and smoke. After catching his breath, Grundnir looks over to Amelia, nodding his head in approval.
"Well fought, young companion. Seems you are well skilled with fire and rock."
Amelia nods back with a smile, wiping some sweat from her forehead.
Yes, we make a good team, but we shouldn't linger here for too long.
Lethelian says,
We should move the wagon as far back as possible and set up camp for the night. We can continue in the morning.
Agreed. We need to be careful, though. There might be a couple more of these buggers around,
says the dwarf, pulling his axe from the creature's corpse. The group quickly gets to work, putting their 2 horses to the wagon and moving it to a clearing at the foot of the mountain. After setting up a camp, they spend the night taking turns keeping watch, and fortunately, there are no further attacks. The next morning, the adventurers prepare for their journey once again, a newfound sense of camaraderie between the group as they continue on their quest. Lethelian says,
Let's take a look at what is in this caravan that Maya said is so important. I want to know what we're transporting.
Lethelian begins to inspect the wagon's interior. The doors creak open, revealing crates and barrels of various sizes, tightly packed with goods. He carefully examines the markings on the crates, looking for any signs of what they might contain. As he investigates, Lethelian discovers that the caravan is filled with a variety of valuable goods. There are crates of fine wines and spirits, sacks of exotic spices, bolts of luxurious fabrics, and a lot of boxes of very intricate jewelry. It becomes clear that this is no ordinary caravan carrying mundane goods, but a collection of highly valuable and sought-after items. Lethelian calls the others over.
Seems we've stumbled upon a treasure trove, my friends. These goods are worth a small fortune. No wonder they were targeted by those creatures.
Amelia's eyes widen with amazement as she examines the jewelry.
These gems and precious metals, they're exquisite. We must ensure their safe delivery.
Grundnir nods, his expression serious.
Aye, we can't afford any mishaps. We must be on guard and stay vigilant until we reach our destination.
The group secures the caravan, knowing that the responsibility of protecting these valuable goods rests upon their shoulders. The ranger says,
Amelia, Grundnir and I will drive the wagon slowly towards Marienburg. Get on your horse and get Era from the village, and meet us down the road. We have to return her safely to Marienburg.
Amelia says,
Understood. We'll catch up to you as quickly as we can. In any case, I will make sure she reaches Marienburg unharmed.
With that, Amelia urges her horse into a brisk trot and heads towards the village. Meanwhile, Lethelian and Grundnir take charge of the caravan, carefully maneuvering the horses to pull the wagon along the road. They proceed cautiously, mindful of potential dangers and the precious cargo they now carry. Their eyes scan the surroundings, ever watchful for any sign of trouble as they make their way towards Marienburg. The landscape stretches out before them, the countryside transitioning from mountain forests to fields as they make their way. The weight of the caravan behind them serves as a constant reminder of their responsibility, and they remain vigilant. The uneven terrain and the occasional rough patch of road require them to exercise caution and adapt their approach. They communicate with each other through gestures and occasional shouts to coordinate their movements and keep the caravan steady. Amelia's steps quicken as she rushes toward the village. The landscape flies by as she pushes herself, eager to reach her destination before noon. Her mind is filled with thoughts of the woman they rescued and the importance of returning her safely to Marienburg. As she arrives at the village, Amelia heads to the inn where they left Ira. She finds her there and explains the situation, and the woman is relieved to have a safe way to get to the city. Amelia gives another gold coin to the innkeeper for keeping the woman safe and thanks him. As dusk starts to settle slowly, Grundnir reaches to the back of the wagon while Lethelian holds the reins. After a few moments of searching, the dwarf pulls out a bottle of fine wine and jolts the cork out with his teeth, spitting it to the ground. The ranger gives him the long look of disapproval. Grundnir looks him under the brow and says,
"Glass breaks easily over these holes,"
and passes the bottle to the ranger. The elf reluctantly takes it, and after 2 swigs returns it to the dwarf. While sharing their spoils, they start hearing a faint sound of hooves pounding to the ground behind them. The trollslayer leans over the side looking behind the wagon.
"Is it them?"
the ranger asks. Grundnir turns back, taking another swig.
"Did you have any doubts?"
says the dwarf with a slight smile.
"Some,"
the elf replied. The following days of their road went without any dangers. As the tall towers and rooftops of Marienburg start to appear in the distance, the sense of relief fills the travelers' bodies and their minds with thoughts of hot meals and soft beds. Lethelian addresses to group.
"This cargo is too valuable to leave anywhere but at the guild. We will go directly to Maya. Ira, I think you should come with us. The head merchant would surely want to hear your story of the attack on the caravan."
Ira nods and replies, "Yes, I agree. It would be important for him to know what happened. Thank you again for saving me." Upon entering the city, the adventurers drive the caravan with retrieved goods directly to the guild. They announce their arrival and leave the caravan in the courtyard of the guild, to be guarded by the staff. The group goes up the wide stairs and enter Hermann Meyer's office. They find the head merchant sitting behind his desk, going through some paperwork. He looks up as they enter and smiles warmly. "Ah, welcome back. They informed me that you managed to retrieve most of the stolen goods. Excellent work." Lethelian steps forward and speaks.
"Indeed, we have successfully recovered the goods and rescued Ira from the attackers. She can provide first-hand details of the event."
Hermann Meyer's expression turns serious as he listens to Ira's account of the ambush. After she finishes, he nods thoughtfully. He then looks at the 3 of them. "I'm grateful for your courage and resourcefulness. Your actions have not only saved valuable goods but also a valuable life. Marienburg owes you a debt of gratitude." He pauses for a moment, deep in thought, and then continues, "I will make sure the stolen goods are returned to their rightful owners. As for your reward, I will ensure you are duly compensated for your efforts. You have proven yourselves capable and very reliable." Hermann reaches to the drawer and pulls up a pipe and fills it with tobacco. He lights it up, drawing a few puffs of smoke deep in thought. Then after a few moments he starts to speak. "We have managed to capture von Jungen. Through interrogation, we extracted information that he operated in Marienburg by the orders from the occult underground network hub in Altdorf. He received orders from the cult's right-hand man, Count Marius von Liebewitz. I know he is the reason why you came to this city, and now you have the information you have been looking for." He then stands up and walks to the cabinet across the office, pulling out 5 glasses and an expensive-looking brandy. He puts glasses on the desk and pours the liquor in each one. He sits back in his chair and reaches into a drawer, pulling out 2 sealed envelopes and putting them gently on the desk. He takes one in his hand. Here is the legal letter detailing the capture of von Jungen and the information we have extracted from him. It is crucial evidence that should be presented to the authorities in Altdorf. The other envelope is the letter of recommendation from the Merchants Guild, emphasizing your expertise and my suggestion for the authorities in Altdorf to hire your services. I cannot say I am glad to see you leave, since you are so capable of solving my problems, he says with a smile and then stands up with his arms opened. Come, let us toast your success, and to your good fortune. You have helped this town a great deal, and feel welcomed every time you visit our gates again. They exchange handshakes and smiles and treat themselves with the fine drink. Maya turns to the saved woman and addresses her directly. Ira, if you wish to return to Altdorf, I think with Lethilian, Grundnir, and Amelia your road would be the safest. Ira replies, I do, and I share your opinion. I will be much safer traveling with people who saved my life than with someone who might want to take it. Hermann Meyer smiles, pleased with their resolve. Very well. Take the necessary time to prepare and gather any additional supplies you may need. Once you are ready, depart for Altdorf and deliver the evidence to the authorities. May Sigmar guide your path. Lethilian says,
Farewell, friend. I wish you all the best.
With that, they leave the guild and start gathering supplies around the town. After acquiring what they need, they head for a meal and drinks. While others were at the tavern, Amelia went to see her master to tell that she is going to Altdorf. He gave her his blessing, along with a couple of spell scrolls he prepared for her. He also said that if she stands before Volkmar, that she should give him his regards. After a good night of celebrating in the tavern, and a good rest, the adventurers prepare for their journey. With a sense of purpose and a new mission at hand, Lethilian, Grundnir, Amelia, and Ira leave Marienburg, ready to embark on their road and deliver the important information to Altdorf, which very well may be concerning the safety of the whole empire.